What day is it? Bolognese day. You're gonna take 1 carrot, 2 onions, and 3 ribs of celery. And if you have them, a couple of shallots because they add a lot of great flavor. You're gonna chop all of this coarse, and don't worry about how it looks because it's all going in a food processor anyway. You just want it small enough to fit. I like this method because it's super easy and the vegetables kind of melt into the sauce. Next, we're gonna pulse the vegetables in a food processor until they're all very finely chopped. Sometimes when you're filming vegetables, an evil spirit will possess your camera and start zooming the video in for absolutely no reason, and it's extremely scary. Next, we're going to pulse the vegetables in a food processor until it's all chopped fine. You don't want it to be soup, but you want them fairly fine. I like to use a Dutch oven for this, but any heavy bottomed sauce pot will work as long as it can hold probably about 5 or 6 liters. So heat that up to medium heat and add a couple of glugs of olive oil and then saute your veg in there for about 5 minutes until it starts to soften. Next, you're going to add 3 cloves of minced garlic. In this case, I actually skipped the garlic because the meat that I'm using is some leftover sausage that I made, which has way too much garlic in it, so it's not fit for human consumption unless it's cooked into something like bolognese. So scooch the veg over to one side of the pan. For you, you'll just need 1 pound of ground beef and 1 pound of ground pork. You want to cook the meat until it's browned and you can't see any raw. It definitely doesn't have to be fully cooked through because we're going to be simmering this for a couple of hours anyway. You want to break up your meat very well because you want this to be a fairly fine sauce and you don't want any big chunks. Once you've browned your beef, mix everything together and add optional sauteed mushrooms that were about to go bad in your fridge. After that, we can add 1 cup of wine. I used white here because that's what I had on hand, but red works too, probably even a little bit better. You're going to cook the wine until it's pretty much dry. In French, that's called au sec. Basically, you just want no liquid left. Next, once that's good, you're going to add in 2 tablespoons of oregano, 2 teaspoons of chili flakes, 1 bay leaf, a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of fresh black pepper, and you're going to stir all that together. Once that's done, add in 6 tablespoons of tomato paste, a 1/4 cup of balsamic vinegar, and 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire. Now mix all that up and add in 1 28-ounce can of French tomatoes. You can use diced like I did too, or you can use something like a stewed tomato, which is a little bit finer. Depends on how chunky you want it. Next, you're going to stir all that together and add 4 cups of beef broth. Do better than me though and make your own beef stock. It really makes a difference in this dish as a lot of the flavor comes from that stock. And I will be making a video on beef stock soon, and then every dish thereafter will include it instead of the crappy stuff from the store. So bring all of that to a boil and then reduce the heat to medium-low and let it simmer for at least an hour and a half. This batch went for 2 hours because it's quite a large batch. If you do half of that, you can get away with an hour, but you want to boil off most of the liquid before you go on to the next step. After 2 hours, once your sauce has reduced to the point where you can pull a spoon through it and see the bottom of the pot, you're going to add 3 cups of milk. Give that a good stir and reduce for another entire hour. You want this to be a fairly thick sauce, and the reduction is what's increasing the flavor and concentrating it. Give that a good stir, bask in its glory, and give it a thumbs up every once in a while. When it's finished, what we're going to do is give it a tiny little blend with an immersion blender. All you're wanting to do here is make a finer texture in a couple of spots and bring it all into one cohesive sauce. So don't go overboard with this, otherwise it'll turn it into soup, which we don't want. So we're gonna bring some water to a boil, heavily salted, and throw in some tagliatelle. Now you might be wondering, what the heck's the difference between fettuccine and tagliatelle? I had no idea either, so I looked it up. It turns out it's pretty much the same pasta, but from different regions of Italy, and the fettuccine is usually thicker. Okay, so toss those in your boiling bath of salty seawater goodness. And once your pasta's cooked to al dente, drain the water, put it back in the pot, and then we're gonna scoop a couple of ladlefuls straight from the pot of bolognese, grate some Parmesan in, toss it all together, and then we're gonna plate it up. Add a little bit more Parmesan and dig in. Thank you guys for watching. There'll be a lasagna video. Wait, the lasagna video is already posted. This feels super awkward. If you guys haven't seen my lasagna video using this bolognese sauce, go check it out. It's amazing. Thank you guys for watching and check out some sexy pasta shots.